guys, what is going on? It's time for another video, and to be honest, this is going to be a doozy. In total, 92 of videos, 40 hours of video material, and it might be one of the best things I've ever done. And we are going to paint the Mandalorian, the iconic Mando. And but before we gonna start with that, I just want to get one thing off my chest, because I feel like there is a misconception among many people that like drawing is not just about talent. It's not just you put the pencil on the paper and you're just gonna start drawing and everything that comes out of it is like picture perfect and exactly how you had it envisioned in your mind. It's like a lot of work and study, and all you learn is going to build up on each other, like the anatomy classes, the techniques in Photoshop, the routine which comes through repetitions, muscle memory, character design, light and shadow for shortening, etc, etc. And so it's really not just talent, so that like a gift which was handed by God when he had a happy day to certain people to disperse creativity or something like that. So it's rather like blood, sweat and tears behind it. Yes, talent can get you going, makes it easier for the start, but it's, in my opinion, the minor part of your skills as an artist, you know. Like the bigger part definitely is the work you put in it. And for example, like before the Mandalorian, after my last gorilla video, I had another art project I wanted to do, and I didn't like where it was going, so I will come back to it later to find out what the flaws actually were, and the next after that it has the potential to be the best you've ever done. So this is just how it goes, and it's just black and white. You have a lot of different shades of gray. Before we start, because I really like reading books about art in general, digital paintings and so on, and I inhaled this one. This is a really nice one. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Digital Painting in Photoshop, Characters, and I really like beginner guides, because I consider myself like a never-ending student, and they often give you a different look on things, and they have hidden gems, secret techniques, for example, you didn't know about. And this book especially helped me by drawing the Mandalorian. For example, like when you draw digital paintings, they always have this clean digital look, but of course what you're drawing, you want to transport like a realistic image, so you need to find out how to realistically transport different material like metal, fabric, leather, for example. And this book it's not just only about that, it's way much more, and this is not even the focus, but for me it had a really good tips about this matter. So enough talking. If you want to find out how to paint Mando,
this is the way.
And here we go. So it's a fast forward video of it, because I don't want to make a 35 to 40 hour long art video. So I will start out with like the very first lines were like gesture drawing, you know, getting the dynamic of the shape of the posture, right, what the Mandalorian is doing in the moment. So you see that there's like a curve which starts on the left shoulder and goes to his lower right leg, and his pelvis is a little bit tilted to the right, his chest is a little bit tilted to the left. This asymmetry gives it the realistic look, that he is in a movement at the moment, you know. So obviously his weight is on the other leg right now, so this one is like straight down, carrying the weight. And what I did right here is like flipping the image, because when you draw already for a couple of minutes or an hour, for example, you're getting kind of blind for irregularities. Your eye kind of gets accustomed to what you see, so you can just flip the image, because this is like a new image for your eye. It's unusual, so if there are irregularities, you will immediately find out. So now, because they were all auxiliary lines, I had them on one layer. I was putting them into the background, reducing the opacity. So now I'm starting out to do the clean artwork. And if you pay closely attention, you see that not every line I make like in the beginning is exactly the line I want to have. One of my best friends is the combination Control Z, which gives you a step back, so you just go over making the line again and again and again until you find that sweet spot where that line is supposed to be. And these auxiliary lines, of course, in real life, you don't see everywhere a black outline. So also when this is the clean line work, later the opacity will be reduced, or maybe it will completely erased, to give it a realistic look. Of course, Grogu sitting there in his bag, one of the most adored characters or character in the Mandalorian series. Kind of getting a trend, in my opinion, that you have that little child as a mascot, or like the sweetheart of every viewer. Same goes to Guardians of the Galaxy, like the little Groot, for example. Always works well, but never gets old. So what you also can do to get those very good clean lines, using your anatomy, your wrist. So just rotate the picture into an angle which is comfortable to make that curve. You see his rifle on the back. Also I did like a long line which should help me to find out where is the end of the rifle and where is like the barrel going, that it's consistent, you know. And as you already can see, it is like his armor, what he's wearing is a combination of like the metal, which is called, of course, Beskar, really precious, really famous in the series. You have in those armor, you have hidden weapons, like all those little rockets he can shoot out of his lower arm, for example. And under his metal armor, he has fabric and leather. And some people can tell me, but some gadgets I didn't really understand. Like, I don't know what he's wearing around his belt. Are those bullets, or like around his shin? A lot of gadgets, and it will be very important later to understand what's the environment, where does the light come from. So of course you have to know what the geometry is you're drawing, and then you can understand what the reflections should be. And when it comes to reflections, depending on the material, the reflections are going to be different. For example, the metal, the Beskar, is very shiny, has a very plain surface, so it gives like very good reflections. For example, in the shoulder pads, you can almost see the environment reflecting in there. Then you have other material, like the metal on the rifle is not as plain. So it has a little bit a different reflection behavior. And when it goes to leather and fabric, it is not reflecting as much light. It is kind of swallowing the light, so the reflection highlights will be different. You will be able to see that perfectly later on his trousers. So what you just saw me doing was using the lasso tool to create a selection. I am, like, right now I made two different selections. I made the whole silhouette with the cloak, and then I made a different selection of like only the person without the cloak. This creates the area I want to be able to paint in. So once there is an option, you can just save the selection for later, which is quite helpful. And wherever there is different material, I put it on a different layer. So you set the layer style on multiply, and you put it on top of the outline. So what happens now is that you put the color on it, but the outline is still shining through. So although you're coloring over it, you still see all of your outline, which helps you like to find out where exactly you want to paint in. And you just use one color, the middle tone of the area you want to paint. That's enough. And you make like 100% opacity. So later we will use another function of Photoshop to be able to just really stay within that area without worrying, okay, am I going over the border, you know? So you can see I did everything in different colors, but then I switched to grayscale. The reason why I'm doing that is like it's not the best solution for everything, but it's just one way to approach it. Because colors are consisting out of value and saturation. Like value is like when the light is shining on it, okay, it's a highlight, it's rather white. When there's like shadow, it's rather black. So you can transport value within a grayscale picture. The other thing you have to worry about is the saturation. Like when you paint something red, how shiny, how much red is in the red, you know? When the red has more gray in it, then it's getting desaturated, for example. So either you can think of you want to get value and saturation right in the very moment, or you take a two-step approach where you make everything a grayscale picture, and then like you put in all the values, and then you can create another layer on top of it where you put in the color, set the layer again, the layer mode on multiply, where it takes the values from the layer underneath, but it also applies the color. And it is also perfect, I will show you later, to create different variants of your drawing if you have your layers neatly organized. So like really I was talking about earlier about the environment. So in this environment there is a strong light source coming from the left behind him, that will be the sun, but you will also have a light source which is coming from the top right in front of him. That's why he has on his forehead, like on the upper part of his helmet, that he has a highlight there. It might be the reflection, the blue reflection of the sky, for example, there, because like they are in in different galaxies there might be a different star, a different sun, there might be a moon, for example. I don't think it is a sun, because the highlight on the right half will be rather in cold colors, so I think it's either the sky or another moon, for example, another planet. Yeah, but understand it and transport it to the geometries you're painting, so you can perfectly adjust all the values. And I was starting out from the middle tone, then I was picking up like an airbrush, and you put the opacity of the airbrush, I was having it around like 50%, let's say so. And like in the upper row you can click on different buttons, which are very important that you activate them, so that it is related to the pressure you are applying on your pen, that your brush stroke gets wider, or when you apply, of course, less pressure, it gets a little bit thinner. And there is a button that your brush stroke is getting darker when you apply more pressure, and vice versa, of course, which makes it more feel like a real tool. Same thing with a pencil. If you apply more pressure, the stroke is gonna be wider and darker, and the other way around. And also another thing I took from the book I was showing in my introduction was that work your way from blurry to sharp. So just make the very, like, you can also say from the general perspective to the details. This is the right way compared to starting out with the details and you lose yourself in them and you cannot even transport the whole geometrical form anymore. Here you can see me like how I'm rotating the picture to get like the right angles. I just always go on like rotating it. And the next function, like look in the layers on the lower right corner. There you have like the column of layers, but it seems like some layers are moved to the right a bit. It's a so-called clipping mask. That means, like, let's say in the beginning I colored the whole area of the metal and the armor. Now I want to make details, or not just details, but just first getting the rough form and then work my way to the details. So if you create a new layer on top of the armor, and then you hit the Alt key and go very close with your cursor in the area between these two layers, you can see that a little arrow is appearing, and when you click it, it moves it to the right side a bit. And what that means is you can paint wherever you want, as long as when you're not painting in the area of the armor, it's not gonna paint. So this is perfect to stay in that area. And again, I made a lot of layers for the armor, like one for like middle tone to dark, then the other one middle tone to bright, then I work my way through other layers to the highlights and also to the core shadows. The amount of layers I need depend on, like, okay, am I creating another layer to be able to erase them without erasing the work I've done before, or do I want to do everything like at once? I had like a lot of layers, but when you use this Alt version, you can directly see which layers are depending on each other, like which are like a group, and it gives you a good overview. In the settings, you also can set an option that the picture, which is showing in the layer window on the lower right corner, is really big, so you can often immediately see this is the layer, like without naming it, because like naming every single layer would be a lot of work, to be honest. without naming those, it helps you already to find the layer you want to draw in. And another one, which function which is very neat, good thought of the developers of Photoshop, is there is a tool in the upper left corner for moving things, and there is a checkbox you can mark that when you click on the specific part on the picture, that Photoshop is selecting the layer which was painted. So this also helps to find your layers you want to draw in. And you can already see step by step how the whole picture is developing, how three-dimensionality like almost suddenly comes into your picture, where it's basically just like a play of light and shadows together. It might just be, you know, like 3, 4, 5 layers with this opacity reduced, what I was talking earlier, and you can already create photorealistic pictures, which is quite astonishing. I really like that. And in fact it gets you hyped. Like when you have a picture where you already get the feeling like, okay, it's not going to the right direction, I don't like how this is turning out to, it still might help to finish it and then to think, okay, where did I took the wrong turn, you know? But like a really good picture where you will be proud in the end, it will already look good in the process and it will keep you going. Like I was loving how like in which direction it was going, this picture, and so I was like beating myself up with hours and hours painting, and like when I was sitting on the couch just thinking of the picture and continuing, it already dragged me back to the display, to the drawing tablet, and made me continue. I think this might be the definition of passion, actually. Anyway, enough of that. So you just in every area it's kind of the same way how to work your way through it. Just as I told, like different material, different reflection behavior. So for the next couple of minutes, I will just let you watch it, and like one really good example about reflection behavior, just look at the his, from a viewer's perspective, left knee when I will paint his pants over the knee. Enjoy the music. One additional technique I want you to see is to like get this grainy look and get away from the clean digital looks. So what you are doing is that you create a new layer on top, fill it with 50% gray, and then you go to filter, noise, and distortion, and make it like monochromatic. So what it will do is like create like those black and white spots, and you put that on top, and you lower the opacity and make it really subtle, but it gets this grainy look to the back of the Yoda and to the cloak, and really helps to transport the idea of fabric compared to metal. So now the interesting part of coloring starts. I slowed down a little bit the video so I can explain it to you. So I had the area before of the armor, and I can just put another layer on top, set it to multiply, and choose whatever color I want. I can make a pink Mandalorian, I can make a yellow, a red, or a blue one. So easily. It takes over all the highlights on the back, and this really is a really nice effect. And actually for concept artists, for example, which need to get back to their art directors, this is like for like when somebody says, yeah, no, that doesn't work, I want it to be red, you can easily change the colors. So here right now, as you can see, I am colorizing it. I was colorizing it with a gray, like bluish gray, because this is like the color I'm seeing his shiny armor, because it's reflecting a little bit of the sky. It's getting this bluish tone, but it has a warm light source in the back of the left side, and this is also hitting his armor, and that's why on the left side you can see those yellowish orange tones which are reflecting there. You can also find really on specific websites really nice textures, for example to implicate rust on his armor, but make it really subtle. Like when you implement textures, don't go overboard. Your painting is the one which should stand out, not you just photo bash everything into it and want it to make look good. So I'm working my way through, like from every layer from layer to layer, putting the color in. But it's not like just put the color in it and that's it, because you're having different light sources which are changing the color actually. Sometimes the multiply effect of the layer, or the multiplier mode of the layer, doesn't work as you want, so you have to create a layer on top which is not set on multiply. So this idea also comes a little bit with a disadvantage, because the gray underneath, when you multiply it, is also desaturating it a bit. If you want to make like really strong colors, it might not be the best choice. So as I said, I'm a never-ending student, and I will always continue working on that. So the Mandalorian itself is complete, Grogu is complete, so let's take care of the background. So the background has rocks, boulders, and you have them on the left side and the right side. Since the light source is in the background on the left, like the right side will be more affected by that light source compared like what I'm drawing right now. So you have like the cold images here. And I'm using the lasso tool first to get the form of those flowing rocks, and then within that I'm continuing to kind of carve out the shapes with darker and lighter colors. Later there will be a veil of orange because of the light source on top of it, but it always starts with the blue tones first. Excuse me. Always make different layers 4 rocks which are like another distance far further in the background, because when you've been in the mountains, for example, and you look really far to the horizon, you can kind of see that the colors, the more far a picture, like an object, is away from you, it loses its saturation. It's looking like fog is in between. And when you're creating those rocks on different layers, you always have the possibility to tune the saturation separately from another, and you get a better composition. It will not make your picture look like it's just a flat stone in front of the other one, because when you create this slight fog in between, and you're gonna see it later, it includes or gives you the idea of distance. Right now I'm just repeating the steps of using the lasso tool to get the outline of the stones and then painting them in. Working my way from the foreground to the background, as you can see. Yeah, like the stones looked a little bit off regarding the background, so I needed to like include the shadows, make it look more included, like a rock is leaning on another one, to create this illusion. Of course, the protagonist is also standing, he's not floating, he's standing on something in the foreground. You had a little bit purple tones in there, so I changed the color. It just makes the picture more rich. And in another video I will take my time to explain that. I used the gradient tool to create this nice transition from sky to sunset. I used the... here is the fog, by the way. Did you see it? Like I was putting some fog in it to create distance. And yeah, the rest is really quickly done with some clouds. And yeah, the background was done way quicker than Mando in total, but I really like how it's turning out. And if you have any questions, contact me on Twitter. I really hope you like this process. Since it's a fast forward video, I cannot explain everything, but I will do in future videos. So yeah, I'll see you around. See ya.